Well, Oklahoma's on that list. They probably have a lot of technology that we don't even know about. And again, look, there's no secret. There's a lot of technology that's out there, and there's a lot that could really get people overwhelmed. I understand that. But let's take away the price tag for a second.
Mhm.
Which piece of technology is your favorite to use with your athletes, just based off their comprehension and your comprehension of all this technology?
Sure. So funny enough, and you just made me think of it, and
Hmm.
I didn't even think about it beforehand. This isn't necessarily specific to baseball, softball, but Florida State wins the national championship a few years ago. Coach gets interviewed, and they say, "Hey, what's been the biggest adjustment?" And they said it's the Whoop band. And have you heard of the Whoop band, the recovery band that you wear for sleep recovery and all
No, I
that?
have not. The Whoop
Um,
Band. I'm thinking of,
I
I thought of the song like an idiot. The Whoop,
no,
there it
yeah.
is.
So this is one of the bands what it looks like, and
Oh, I've
it's
seen them. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And so what it says is, you go to sleep, it tells you how well you slept,
Mhm.
and basically what your recovery is, because you could sleep for 8, 9, 10 hours, but you could have really, really poor recovery because you didn't get enough deep sleep, or you woke up too many times not realizing it, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And so what she said is that was such an instrumental part for her team, especially once they got to playoffs, they got to see, okay, I'm really fatigued today. You got to see the recovery of the whole team, be like, all right, we can probably only practice for an hour and a half, 2 hours today, not this 4-hour practice I originally planned. And she kind of just used that as a guide. And then they win the national championship, right? So I think if I'm working with an athlete who is trying to get to that next level and is really pushing their body, monitoring recovery is huge, because if you're not doing that, it really kind of doesn't matter what hitting equipment piece you have. But after that, if I'm
Mhm.
going to pick my my
Well, can I ask
favorite,
you really quick though
sure,
about the Whoop? I'm
sure.
fascinated by that because I've seen people wear it. I didn't know what it was called and I sometimes just out of the corner of my eye, if I noticed it, I think it's like one of the smart watches that everybody
Yep.
has now, which I do not have a smartwatch, by the way.
Nice.
I learned a long time ago from a friend who connected his iPad to his iPhone.
Hmm.
And you would hear the text that would come in, and it would be the double ding, and it was
Mm-hmm.
very, very obnoxious. So I've learned I'm not going to connect my phone to anything, and I'm certainly not going to connect it to an Apple Watch. Nevertheless, the Whoop thing.
Mm-hmm.
What now? You wear it. It tells you wear it to sleep, so it
Mm-hmm.
tells you what kind of sleep you have gotten the night before. What
Mm-hmm.
does that look like, and how do you use that to plan your day or plan an athlete's day based off the kind of sleep they had from the night before? That's very intriguing.
Yeah. So specifically with females, and I
Mhm.
can give that example. So
Yeah.
specifically with females, our sleep is, whether we like it or not, is going to be dictated based on where we are in our cycle throughout the month. So different hormones get released at different times. Some are going to almost like make you extremely sleepy, but your sleep quality is really poor. And then other times your energy levels are going to be much higher, and your sleep quality is going to be way better. So we can kind of manage that. Like if I'm really, really working in depth with an athlete on day-to-day stuff where they are supposed to have a heavy deadlift cycle, and we're supposed to do really specific training with heavy bat, light bat stuff.
Mhm.
And I look and they got a really crappy night's sleep the night before, and they
Well,
are
what numbers tell you they had a crappy night's
sure.
sleep?
So they'll give like an overall recovery score, right? So like let's say your recovery score is 65, and I'm like, man, it's out of 100. It should
Mhm.
usually be a little bit better than that. So I can go in and look. And there's something called heart rate variability, which is, you can take that with a grain of salt. It's typically you get like an average, let's say for someone, but when it varies a ton, all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's a sign like, okay, maybe are they getting sick? Is there something like, is it beyond, are they really, really stressed? Is it beyond the fact that they just didn't sleep well? And then when you actually go and look at the sleep you get, you can see the difference between REM and deep sleep.
Yeah.
So when I used to live in a house by myself, I would get 8 hours of sleep, and I would spend less than 45 minutes of it in a deep sleep. It was almost like my body wasn't letting me get into a deep sleep, so things like that are interesting. So you want to get to that, closer to that 3 hour, let's say, amount of REM and deep sleep to have both cognitive and physical recovery. Finals week, stressed out, putting yourself through, like maybe you're maxing out in the weight room and at your high school and I didn't know it. You know what I mean? There's certain variables where all of a sudden your body's going to be very taxed and not fully recovered. And that's going to impact what we end up doing that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So before I cut you off, the other question that you were going to answer
Mhm.
What is your favorite piece of technology?
It is the pocket radar right now. It is.
Okay.
I
A
know
lot of
simple.
scouts use that or starting to use that.
I know it's simple. It is. So there's two different types. There's
Mhm.
one that is going to be a little less expensive, and it measures slower miles per hour. So let's say you're trying to measure how hard someone throws a medicine ball. It's perfect for that. If you're trying to do faster miles per hour, that's a little bit more accurate. You're gonna want, like, it's called it's the blue colored one, and then there's a ball coach versus a smart coach. The smart coach Bluetooths right to your phone, so you can log it, but you don't need that technically. Like, you could set up the pocket radar and just film the athlete hitting in the background, and that's, I guess, the cheaper way to do it. But the reason I like it so much is a lot of these pieces of technology are taking into account the swing, but I really want to know the outcome, and I want to know that you found your sweet spot, because you could have a awesome miles per hour of your bat and really great bat quickness, but you could hit it off the end of your bat and have really crappy exit velocity.